Have you ever felt sick or uneasy around somebody, but then made the decision to stay? Or ever leave a meeting super drained, but it's not just you having a super long day? Or maybe you've said yes when your body really is screaming no? If any of that hits, then this episode is for you. Those feelings are not random. That is you going against your intuition. It is you going against your body's natural language. The gut is your first brain. It is ancient, it is primal, and it is fast. The body will always react before your mind has a moment to catch up to it. And I think as humans, we are so wired to have this concrete evidence to know that something is or is not true in order to make a decision that a lot of times, if you're out of tune with your body, if you are out of tune with your intuition, you go against it and then shit goes left. Even you being constantly fatigued is your body showing you that you are out of alignment somewhere in your life. When I work with clients, I don't just teach them my methods. I help them to learn to honor the signal that is their body. If you're only living your life, making your decisions from the neck up, then you are missing 80% of what is real. You're missing a major chunk of the truth. So if you're ready to get a little hippy dippy and talk about the ways that our body talks to us and we just don't listen, then I invite you to get comfortable, grab a drink, grab a snack. You know what time it is. It's time to tune in and shift with me. Welcome back to the On Some Real Shift podcast, where I have real conversations on what it takes to shift your mindset and uplevel your emotional and spiritual life. I'm your host, Vanessa. I'm a certified and accredited life coach. I do mindset coaching. I'm an NLP practitioner. I do Reiki and sound bath healing, but most importantly, I am a student of the universe, or the university, as I like to call it. Welcome back, friends. If you're here, then my guess is that you know at some point you have gaslit your own intuition. You've gaslit yourself, which means you are overriding the wisdom of your body. And then when things go haywire, when things go amiss, we wonder, well, I didn't see that coming. Yeah, you did. You just chose to ignore it. Knows, and I say this with love, your body knew the truth before your mind had the words to explain it. Have you ever felt your stomach twist when somebody enters the room? And you can't really figure out why, right? But your body just says, oh, this energy does not feel good. That's your intuition talking. Or have you ever stayed at a job, a friendship, a relationship, and your body is telling you this doesn't quite feel right, but you might not be able to put your finger on why? Same thing. That's not just anxiety. This is not you being too sensitive. This is your body trying to give you cues that there's a misalignment here, that you are not supposed to be in this space. That was your body trying to save you. That's your intuition in motion. The thing is, a lot of people look at intuition as some abstract woo-woo thing that only mystics and psychics have, right? When we're literally all born with it. Your intuition is physical and it lives in your body, in your spirit. It's actually not the mind at all. It's the feeling that you get in your gut before you make a life-changing decision. They're the goosebumps that are running up and down your body when something is divinely aligned. And it's the way that your chest tightens up when you're about to betray yourself. It's that sudden headache that you get after spending time with that particular person. Your body is an antenna, it's a compass, it's a guide, and we just spend a lot of time ignoring it because we think, oh, well, I don't have this concrete evidence, not realizing that your body is the concrete evidence. I remember years ago, and actually this friendship started when I was in high school, so a long time ago, but it was a friendship that when I met her, we had a lot of fun together, but I also had this feeling deep in my stomach that something was not right. But I didn't have any concrete evidence at the time, so I kept hanging out with her. The best way that I can describe it is I felt like deep down she didn't really like me, but there was nothing that she had done to show me that she didn't really like me. I also noticed that I'd have to shrink myself to be around her to make her more comfortable, and I didn't get that I was even doing that at the time. I was in high school. I didn't know. And it was really disorienting because, like I said, we would have a really good time together. Fast forward, our friendship continued into my college years and even afterwards. And there were periods of time where we would separate as friends and nothing really would happen, but it was this energy that I could feel. And I'm like, yeah, no, we are not cool right now. But nothing ever really went down until maybe like my mid 20s. Again, we went through the whole not talking for a while, nothing really happened, but I could just feel this nasty energy between us. And I ended up running into her at a bar, and she sent me some shots across the bar, and I looked at her and I waved, and she came over and we started talking, and she just said it. She said, you know, Vanessa, I have always been very jealous of you, and went on to explain the why, and kind of gave me this whole speech about how she's different now and she wants us to connect and be friends and blah, 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 because I've been nothing but a great friend to her, all the things, right? So dummy me, even though it didn't feel safe in the moment, I said, okay, well, she's saying these things to me, even though my body was telling me, girl, this ain't right. This ain't right. But I said, okay, let me go ahead and believe what she's saying to me. What I can tell you is she showed me that she was not my friend in some of the most egregious ways. She pursued my partners behind my back, but it made its way to me. On more than one occasion, she just said some really terrible things about me, put my business out there that wasn't even actually really true. She said some horrific things to my face. Man, I remember one time I had this boot on my foot, and I had this really weird infection that I got from a bad pedicure on my foot. And it kind of got really, really bad, seemingly overnight. And so when I went to the doctor, he said, had you waited any longer, you could have lost your toe. Okay, just to give you context as to how bad it got. So I ended up having it treated, and it was in a boot for a while, like couple months, and she knew that. She had an event that she asked me to go to, and I said, you know, I really don't feel comfortable going because I don't want to be in the club with a boot on. My foot was still very painful to the touch, and I'm thinking, I don't want to be around a bunch of drunk people at the club. They're going to hit my foot unnecessarily, and it's going to be curtains for me. I don't want to do it. And she got so upset and said to me that she thought the real reason why I didn't want to go is because I was overweight and didn't feel good about myself. And it was in that moment I said, she really doesn't like me at all still. That was, you know, years of crap behavior. I finally said, okay, she doesn't like me, and I distanced myself, and that was that. But this is a very long, convoluted way to say, for years, my body was telling me something is not right here. Something is not right here. This person is not in alignment with who you are and where you're going. But because I did not have concrete evidence, because she had not outwardly violated me at the time, I just kept going back for more and going against what my body was trying to tell me. My body was trying to tell me that this energy does not align with you, girl. It just doesn't. You know, I gaslit myself into thinking that I was just being fearful and judgmental, you know, that I was making something that didn't exist. Afterwards, I ended up feeling kind of foolish because I realized that my body had been trying to tell me the signs all along, and I was just ignoring them. And that's just one of many situations where I have ignored my intuition and it's gone south. I've also ignored my intuition with people who are not terrible, but they just are not aligned. So let me break this down for you. Your nervous system is always scanning your environment for the truth. Your body responds in real time while your mind is still trying to make it make sense. And we have been conditioned out of listening to ourselves. We have been trained to intellectualize everything, to rationalize and to second guess. We're often praised for being logical and level-headed. Nobody is really praising us for trusting our gut. So what do? We say yes when we mean no. We push through when we really need to pause. We keep going even though there's some kind of internal resistance we're feeling, hoping that there is something better on the other side. And then we're wondering why we end up feeling disconnected, drained, burnt out, exhausted, just miserable. The reality is your body is the most ancient and accurate technology that you will ever have when it comes to making decisions. It is a divine channel. It does not just carry you, it communicates to you through you. And every time you ignore it, you are taking a step away from your higher self. You're becoming more disconnected with your higher self. Who's your higher self? Your higher self is the version of you who already knows better, the version of you who is walking in your highest level of peace and authenticity, okay? It is the version of you that is making the decisions that support the best, most aligned, and peaceful version of you. It is the version of you that makes hard decisions because they're the right decisions. So every time you're ignoring your intuition, you're getting farther away from that version of you. But every time you listen, you move faster, you align quicker, you trust deeper, not just in others, but most importantly in yourself. So you might say, Vanessa, well, how the hell do I start listening? Well, number one, you got to stop trying to intellectualize everything. You got to stop trying to make sense of all the things. Be still. Don't ask for advice. Don't ask for other people's opinions and thoughts. It just becomes noise. Sit with yourself. I guarantee you, if you allow yourself to sit with yourself, you will come up with the answer. The problem is we tend to not sit with ourselves. A lot of people don't know how, especially this day and age of constant distractions and technology, whether it's an iPad, your cell phone, the TV, sex, food, noise, whatever. A lot of people have a hard time just sitting with themselves. So first things first, I would say learn to sit with yourself. Number two, I would say slow down. Check in with yourself. Where are you feeling the feels in your body? Notice the sensations in your body when something rings true to you. Take note. And also take note when they don't. Ask yourself, where in my body do I feel this decision? Is this expansion or is this contraction? Does my body soften or does it tighten? You know what I've been noticing about myself lately? I have been hella stressed lately, hella unaligned. If you listen to my last video, that's if I posted it, then you'll know that I just have had some stuff going on. And what I've noticed in these last few weeks in particular, I have been clenching my jaw so much. So now when I'm clenching my jaw and I catch myself, the first thing I ask myself is, well, what am I thinking about right now? And then I realize that thing that I'm thinking about is the link to this stress, to this dissension in my body right now. Because here's the truth. If your body says no, it doesn't matter if your mind is saying yes. You ignoring your body's cues is not only you being out of alignment, it is really you being out of honesty. And that is hard to swallow. I'm not quite ready to shut this down yet, so let's talk about what intuition really can look like on your day-to-day. Because if you're waiting for some booming voice from the universe to part the skies and come down and talk to you, that's not how it works. And really, you're not going to be able to get any signs from the universe until you really start being comfortable in sitting with yourself, listening to your body, listening to your intuition. You got to start there. The universe is waiting to guide you and speak to you, but you can't hear it if you can't hear yourself. Intuition is not always loud. And that's why I say you got to be still. You got to learn how to sit with yourself. Learn to be quiet. A lot of times it's just subtle. It's a flicker. It's a deep, deep knowing without concrete data. Sometimes it is a full body no that you're trying to convince yourself is a maybe. Sometimes it's a deep pull to something that doesn't quite make sense on paper, but you can just feel it in your bones. Go with it. Trust it. Sometimes it's that clenching in your stomach when something is really out of alignment. It is the urge to leave a room even though nothing bad is happening. It's the way your body tenses up right before you say yes to something that you really want to say no to. It is the heaviness that you feel spending time with a certain somebody. Maybe it comes out in that big, long sigh that you let out after spending time with somebody and you felt like you couldn't really be your authentic self. It's goosebumps after a random conversation. That's alignment. And my favorite of all, it is that feeling of peace after making a decision that is aligned for you, even if you don't quite understand why just yet. Intuition doesn't always make sense, but it's never wrong. And the more you ignore it, the more your body will scream. It will rebel in depression, in fatigue, in burnout, in frustration, in sensory overload, in resentment. And these are not just symptoms, these are messages. You think that back pain is random? Maybe you were working too hard last weekend, or maybe it's from you carrying all the things that you were never supposed to hold on to begin with. I really need to do an episode about like where certain stresses manifest in the body, because that's a whole nother thing. Matter of fact, I'll get real with y'all. I have been suffering from this horrible headache situation for 2 months now, since April 20, May, June. Wow, we're going into our third month. Yeah, since April 29th. And now that I've taken a moment to be still and I can pinpoint exactly what was going on the week of April 29th, I am willing to bet every penny in my bank account right now that it is a result of a particular stress. It is a result of me being out of alignment in this one particular area of my life. Because I've done all the testing, all the CT scans, the MRIs, the x-rays, literally all of it, and nobody can find anything. I know in my spirit it is from this self-imposed stress that I have not addressed yet. You may think that your exhaustion is because you've been too busy, but what if it's from the weight of always pretending? You might think that you're indecisive, but really, what if you've just trained yourself out of trusting what you already know? When you feel these things, ask yourself, what is my body trying to signal to me that I keep trying to explain away? What decision am I avoiding because it is more comfortable for me to avoid the truth? Where in my life do I always feel drained, and who is typically always involved? When was the last time I knew that something wasn't right, but I chose to stay, and then what was the outcome? Or just a real simple one, and one to get you started is, what does a yes feel like in my body, and what does a no feel like in my body? Let the answers come to you without judgment. Don't try and think your way through them. Just feel. The problem is, if what we feel doesn't match what we want, then that's when we start trying to bend what our body's trying to tell us, and then we make these bad decisions for ourselves, or we ignore what we already know the truth to be. You don't have to have a perfect morning routine or be some hyper spiritual person dripped in crystals and pixie dust to listen to your intuition. We are all intuitive. You already are. You were born that way. The thing is, we learn to unlearn it. We learn to prioritize other people's comfort over our own clarity. We learn to listen to logic and systems and data, and we stop listening to the systems in our chest, in our gut, in our womb, in our skin. So you might ask, well, Vanessa, what if I don't trust myself? You don't have a self-trust issue. You have a self-abandonment issue. You knew, but you overrode it. And I don't say it with judgment. I can tell you I've done it a million freaking times. But every time you ignore your intuition, you chip away at your inner authority. But the beautiful thing is you also have the power to rebuild that trust. And it can start with one small no that is spoken, one aligned yes that is honored, or a moment of saying, you know what, this doesn't feel right now. I don't know why, but I'm going to take a pause. You see what I'm saying? You've always known. Your body was never confused. Your higher self never left. She's just been waiting for you to stop asking for signs and start listening to your signal. So if you gain anything from today's episode, I would love for it to be this. Please stop outsourcing your inner knowing. I want you to stop looking for permission, looking for external validation, and I want you to come home to your body. Because the most powerful version of you, the most magnetic version of you already exists. The most embodied, intuitive, and clear version of you, she's just waiting for you to let her out. She's not in the future, she's here. You just have to listen to her whispers before they become screams, you know? You don't need another strategy. You need to stop gaslighting your gut. So that's your invitation today. Check in with your body before you check in with the world. I promise you, she's not going to lead you wrong. The last thing I will say about it is, just because you're following your intuition doesn't mean you won't experience trouble or pain. It's not how the universe works. But I'm not getting into that today, okay? If this landed for you, share it with a friend. And if you want to go deeper into this embodiment work, into this work of alignment, I encourage you to reach out to me because we got some serious shift coming. You are your own oracle. You just have to allow yourself to be. As always, I'm super grateful for your time. I will catch you on the next episode. Peace.